You call yourself a bogan. What's a day-to-day identity for a bogan like you?
When they find out that I'm a metalhead and I'm a bogan, we have that instant connection, and a lot of the times they're caught off guard. They're like, "Wow, my therapist is into metal, they're into black metal, death metal, new metal, thrash metal," and that. I had one young person that I was working with, highly anxious, the pressures of school and that, really felt for him, like assessment after assessment after assessment at school, expectation to do well. So naturally he had low mood and he was experiencing anxiety and that. And he says to me, he's into Ailstorm, and I was like, Ailstorm, I've never heard of them, mate. So it's great because I get to learn about different bands as well that the young ones are into. And then I said to him, okay, so I want you to take the thoughts that, that you've stuffed everything up, and I want you to visualize in your mind that you're watching Ailstorm play your favorite song, but the vocalist is singing the lyrics that I've stuffed everything up. And so I got him to visualize that, and he just cracked up laughing his head off. And he's like, "Oh, this is stupid, I can't take this shit seriously." And I'm like, that's the whole point, you've just changed the narrative. The person with that stunt referral is into metal, they're like, "Oh, I've got just the counsellor for you," and so I get all the young metalheads. Dave Mustaine making the album Rust in Peace, and reading a part of the chap got Marty to join the band, and Dave Mustaine's saying in the book that, when he came in, he was having those voices. He had the advisor in his head saying, "Oh, you're a shit guitarist, you've got a new guitarist in the band and you're shit. You guys are my psychiatrist." And Dimebag Darrell heard me and he looked over and he goes, "Yeah," and I'm like, holy shit, he just responded to me, I was a young teenager, I had bum fluff on my hair, and now I had a piece of shit goatee trying to be the man like Dimebag, and I randomly pulled it and he saw me and he pulled it at the same time. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Oh, geez, that's a big question, eh? Who am I? Oh, damn. Geez, now I'm thinking of the Jackie Chan movie, Who Am I? He doesn't know who he is in the movie. Who am I? Okay, well, I'm a registered social worker. I've been a social worker since 2020. I've been working in mental health and addictions. I've been working in a variety of places in government agencies, and currently I'm working in the community. Got a postgraduate certificate in mental health and addictions, which sort of provided me the platform to do therapy work. So now I'm working in the community and I'm doing frontline counselling work for just people that are having a bit of a hard time, whether it be anxiety, stress management, ruminating thoughts and that. So that's kind of my passion, to be able to support people to have the opportunity to have good mental health outcomes. And I'm also a metalhead, obviously, with the battle vest I'm wearing and the Pantera beanie. And I'm also an artist in my spare time as well, and that. So that's my other life. That kind of sums up who I am, I think. And I'm now married to my wife, and she's really awesome and supportive of what I do in life and that. So.
And artist, what do you mean artist?
Oh, so before doing a social work degree, I did a degree up at Massey University. I did a fine arts degree, so the Bachelor in Fine Arts, and I do a lot of paintings, drawings of famous icons from TVs and movies and that. Basically anyone that inspires me, I'll do a painting of and that, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Let's go straight to the bogan question.
Yeah.
You call yourself a bogan.
Yep.
So what's a day-to-day identity for a bogan like you? I got a cue where you said you're a mental health worker and a bogan. Is there a conflict between that? Probably that's a two question, right? What's the bogan day-to-day bogan identity, and is there a conflict between your work and being a bogan?
Yeah, it's interesting that, eh? So what is a bogan? I guess for me, it's not an easy question to answer, right? But I listen to metal music. I've been listening to metal music since 1998 when I first got introduced to Pantera. I think a bogan's someone that's just into metal and just really entrenches themselves into the culture of metal music. And no, it's funny, metal music doesn't actually.
Go ahead.
Conflict with my work and being a social worker and a mental health professional. It's quite the opposite. Currently in the work that I do, I work with quite a lot of young ones, young people, teenagers entering adulthood and that. And it's quite cool because a lot of my clients that I work with are actually, you know, the next generation of metalheads coming through in there. And so actually, when they find out that I'm a metalhead and I'm a bogan, we have that instant connection. And a lot of the times they're caught off guard. They're like, "Wow, my therapist is into metal. They're into black metal, death metal, new metal, thrash metal, and that." And yeah, we have quite good conversations about it, and which is really good because it kind of, like I said, it sort of brings rapport and relationship in terms of like, you know, an even keel where they can, you know, sort of have trust with me in that. And you know, it's interesting because like, I've been working on battle vest for a good part of a year now, and when I go to work, I tested it. I was like, I'm going to see how people react wearing my battle vest, and actually a lot of people ask me questions about it, and they're actually genuinely interested. Yeah, there's never really been any conflicts. I've never been told to not wear it and to take it off and that. So yeah. Long story short, no, there's no conflict. Yeah, no conflict. And sort of going back to my clients, they kind of feel a relatability with me that, you know, I'm sort of like street level. I'm not like, you know, white collared, you know, counselor, therapist that's with the checkbook going, "Oh, tell me how you're feeling there." I'm just, you know, down to earth with them as well. So it creates that, you know, it breaks down barriers and boundaries to interaction. Yeah.
Metalheads as your, what you call that? Clients? Can I say client? Or what do you call them?
Yeah, clients. Yep, definitely.
What sort of impression, and I'm not sure if you're allowed to share, but generally speaking, why are they coming to you for counseling?
Yeah. So with the organisation that I work with in the community, you know, there's a variety of ways they come into our service. So you know, it can be either self-referral, you know, they can refer to themselves online, you know, GPs will refer, or quite often, you know, parents of the young ones that, you know, are feeling a bit anxious about, you know, their kids, they're a bit worried, that they can also do a referral for the young ones as well. But yeah, it's just a variety of ways. But most of the time, yeah, it's self-referrals, whether it's, you know, online and that.
What kind of like strategies, that's probably it, what kind of technique or strategies usually you give? If there will be bogans like new wave. I call it like new wave of New Zealand bogans or something.
New wave. I never thought about that. Yeah.
The younger generation bogans, and there will always be metalheads coming up, regardless where they're coming from. You know what I mean? Like anyway, maybe for those who are listening who can't go to a counseling or something like that, what sort of technique? It's a hard question, probably. If they feel like they're anxious, about life, then they're not going to be successful enough, or they're not. Usually what I usually hear is that you're not enough, you're not good enough.
Yeah, sure.
What do you think should be like the first step?
Yeah. So are you talking about like techniques that I give the people that I work with, like to help them overcome that? Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's awesome, mate, because like when I find out that, you know, my clients you know, into metal, I'm like, oh great, this is an opportunity where I can incorporate metal into helping them, you know, feel, you know, less anxious. I guess kind of like what I like to do is like take their thoughts and kind of like change the impact and change the narrative. So, for example, I had one young person that I was working with, you know, highly anxious, you know, the pressures of school and that, you know, really felt for him, like he had assessment after assessment after assessment at school, you know, expectation to do well. So naturally he had low mood and he was experiencing anxiety and that. You know, I think one of the thoughts that they were having were like, you know, that they've, you know, stuffed everything up and that, and it was just a thought that just kept replaying over and over again. And so I said to them, I'm like, okay, you know, what's your favourite metal band that you're into? Because, you know, after talking, building rapport, you know, we learned that we were both metalheads. And he says to me, oh, you know, he's into Ailstorm, you know. And I was like, Ailstorm, I've never heard of them, So it's great because I get to learn about different bands as well that the young ones are into. So it's, you know, basically Ailstorm is, you know, cheesy pirate metal. I highly recommend. And so I got him to choose, you know, his favourite song. You know, the most cheesiest song, and he picked it, and I said to him, okay, and we played it in the session, we played the whole song and that, and then I said to him, okay, so I want you to take the thoughts that, you know, that you've stuffed everything up, and I want you to visualize in your mind that you're watching Ailstorm play your favourite song, but the vocalist is singing the lyrics that I've stuffed everything up. And so I got him to visualize that, and he just cracked up laughing his head off, and he's like, oh, this is stupid, I can't take this shit seriously. And I'm like, that's the whole point. You've just changed the narrative by taking metal and visualizing that, it's the vocalist saying negative thoughts, you're laughing your head off, So I'm like, that's a great way to kind of, manage it. And so you put that into practice. And of course, we still get negative thoughts. There's nothing we can do about that, but he was able to change the narrative where it didn't have that power over him. He was like finding the thoughts quite funny. I had another client that I was working with, new wave, bogan, so to speak, and they were into black metal, into mayhem, which I was like, fuck yeah, mayhem's like still alive and well, at the young ones, and I did the same thing. I'm like, okay, pick your favorite song, from mayhem, and they chose Death Crush. I just said the same thing. Okay, imagine your negative thoughts being sung by the vocalist dead, but in his way, and so they did that, and they were like, they were like, okay, the thought doesn't have power over me. I'm actually enjoying the thought now because I've changed the context. So it's an opportunity. Yeah, an opportunity.
With regards to all of your clients, how many % do you think are bogans in the people you're looking?
Jeez, honestly,
rough assumptions, or what do you call that? Rough guess, estimate, guesstimate.
I tell you what, it's so hard to put a percentage on it, but let's put it this way: we get a lot of bogans that young bogans coming through. And it's really cool, because our clinical coordinator, they know that I'm a bogan as well. So when they're very not familiar with metal, but when they find out that, the person that's done the referral is into metal, they're like, oh, I've got just the counsellor for you. And so I get all the young metalheads, It's hard to say, but let's put it this way, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that come through to see me. And sometimes it's actually dumb luck. Like, I remember one guy that I was working with, and I was like, quite often I'll just wear normal clothing and that, because that's about, building connection and rapport and, not being a white-collared therapist, so to speak, I was wearing a Slipknot t-shirt, and he's like, oh, cool band, and I said to him, oh, are you into metal? And he's like, yeah, and then we started just talking about metal and stuff, so, yeah, sometimes it's just dumb luck, but, yeah, we get a lot coming through, yeah, hard to put a number on it, but, but on my caseload, the numbers are quite high, for metalheads, young metalheads coming through.
Plus, it's hard to gauge, because your coordinator would probably, you're a bogan, go to Richard. You're a bogan, go to, and every single bogan goes to you 100%.
Yeah, pretty much. I remember one time, it was so funny, because our clinical coordinator, what they'll do is, if they have a particular counsellor in mind, they'll try and get the counsellor to meet, the client first before, any counselling is done. So that way, when they come, they know who they've met. And, they came to me in the office, and they're like, oh, we've got a young one, and they're into metal, and I'm going to allocate this person to you, but I want you to come and meet this person as well. So it was great, and I met the young person, and we were just talking about metal, and my clinical coordinator didn't know what the fuck we were talking about. My client's mother didn't know what the fuck we were talking about, but we were just hitting it off, with bands that they were into, telling them about bands I'm into, and likewise and that. So it's really cool. And it just restores my faith that metal's not dead. And that, because sometimes me and my wife, my wife's into her music as well. She's classically trained. She says, oh, kids aren't into metal these days, and that it's not a thing. But then I'm getting the young ones in my counselling sessions, and I'm like, nah, it's still alive and well, So, yeah.
How do you think is the effectiveness of metal to those kids you're counselling?
Oh, it's positive, It really is. One young one I was working with, it really just, clicked, their rationale for being into metal was this is actually one of the reasons why I'm into metal as well. Because we're chatting with them in there, and I said to them, I'm like, oh, I read the referral and I hear you're into metal and stuff, I'm like, I'm just curious, what is it about metal that helps you with, your mental health? Does it help with your mental health? And they said to me, yeah, it does, for the fact that, I guess, from an outside perspective, metal gets a lot of, bad rep because of negative lyrics and all that bullshit. But, they said to me that the negative lyrics is validation that it's normal for them to feel that way, that it's okay to feel negative to feel bad about the world, but that validation uplifts them that, they're not, by themselves carrying this burden. And I'm like, yeah, it's one of the reasons why I listen to metal too, because, I have negative thoughts and I have stress as well. But yeah, for me, it's like, it's that validation that, we have these negative emotions and, metal's a good outlet for that too. I guess the one way I like to look at it, because, especially with, the stress I experience in my work, I'll get in my car, listen to some death metal. It's kind of like a good way to take the stress and put it through that, intense music. And it's kind of like putting it through a grinder and getting rid of it. Yeah.
Have you come across with a mate who you feel like is having a mental challenge or, mental health challenges, and kind of like prefer to still go to intoxications and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And if there's a mate like that for you, how would you approach that? I mean, like, it's difficult. Like, if I am, for example, I'm your mate, I'm gonna tell you, you should see a counselor. That's not gonna be happening because now I'm telling you what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think should be the best approach on that? Oops.
Oh, so say for example, if a friend's telling me that they're having mental health challenges,
or probably you noticed.
Yeah.
How should someone approach that?
Okay. Yep. Definitely. So, going to counselling and therapy can be quite daunting for people. It's quite a big threshold to cross, eh? So I take my hat off to anyone that, takes a leap of faith and goes to counselling, because, it is anxiety provoking. It's difficult meeting a stranger and talking about your personal stuff and that. But like, if a friend approaches me, that they've got mental health problems or challenges or whatever, and that what I focus on is the normalisation and the validation of what they're going through. So I'd say to my friend, oh yeah, I'm sorry to hear that's the way you feel. For what you're going through, I'm actually not surprised that you feel the way you're feeling, And in full honesty, if I was in your situation, I'd most likely feel the way that you're feeling, So it's completely understandable that you feel that way. Have you thought about, going to counselling? And if there is that, resistance that, oh, fuck counselling, I'm not going to do that, then I'm quite open about it, because like I've gone to counselling a few times and I'm like, I've gone to counselling, I find it beneficial, So, what do you got to lose? You got nothing to lose, but, to move forward. So, take a shot, see where it leads. Like, I'm quite open about telling people in my circle of friends or in the public, or even my clients. I'm very open with the fact that I go to counselling every once in a while, and that I also have my own challenges. I experience anxiety in that as well, and so that kind of just normalises the experience. That it's not just them, and I'm quite a big fan of saying hey, you're not crazy, you're not abnormal, having normal reactions to all the stuff that's going on, so no wonder you feel a bit out of sorts. And usually when I say that, they're like, oh shit, oh fuck, I thought I was going crazy. And I'm like, no, you're not, it's normal reactions. So, when you experience high levels of stress, you do get thrown out quite a bit.
When you're alone, are you talking to yourself sometimes?
Hey?
Are you talking to yourself?
Do I talk to myself?
There's this video that I saw, like, he said, like, when you're alone, what are you telling yourself? Like, oh, that makes sense. Now I'm starting to notice, like, oh yeah, sometimes I'm talking to myself, but same voice, my voice, talking to me like I should be doing this versus that. You have your, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
like self-talk.
Yeah, absolutely, all the time. Even the wife at home, she's like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm like, "Nobody. I'm just talking to myself. Don't worry about it." Yeah, I talk to myself. Yeah, definitely.
The reason why I asked that is it something that most of your clients are talking about as well, given that they're anxious about life sometimes, right? Yeah. And obviously sometimes the way they speak reflects the way they see the world. If they're saying like, I'm probably not good enough, and then your brain processes it. Yeah. Now you're thinking you're not good enough. Something like, I'm just assuming.
Yeah, that's common. Yeah. Yep. It's very normal to have that voice. I guess I like to call it the advisor. That advisor in your mind that's telling you like, oh, you're going to be shit. You're not going to do a good job. You're going to fail at everything, and that's very normal. I get that on a daily basis. It's very normal. It's actually interesting that you bring that up, because I'm currently reading a book at the moment on Dave Mustaine making the album Rust in Peace, and I'm reading a part of the chapter where they've just got Marty to join the band, and Dave Mustaine's saying in the book that, when he came in, he was coming off, his drug binge and, coming off drugs. He was having those voices. He had the advisor in his head saying, oh, you're a shit guitarist. You've got a new guitarist in the band and you're shit. You deserve to be kicked out of Metallica and that. So Dave Mustaine has that advisor saying that he's not good. And it's normal. If it makes anyone watching this feel better, I have that voice in my head too, with those negative thoughts like, oh, you're going to be shit. And actually it's funny because coming here today is like, I've seen your videos, right? And, the videos of other metalheads that you've done or bogans, I look up to those people and I'm like thinking to myself, coming here, I'm like, oh shit, I'm anxious because I'm not in these people's league, am I worthy? Am I good enough to, come and do this interview with you? So, that's my advisor going off in my head. So it's completely normal.
How did you handle that?
I just told myself that, I am worthy. I am worthy. Yeah. I had another dialogue going on in my head. So I've got that voice, because negative thoughts are normal. We all get them. But I guess I've got practice in challenging that, going, no, I am worthy. These are the reasons why I'm worthy, and I'll list evidence in the real world that disproves why the advisor's not right.
Changing the topic, I saw your Pantera.
Yeah.
What's the story about your Pantera?
Oh, yeah. I've had this since I was a teenager. Jeez, that makes me feel old because I'm 43 yesterday, So, yeah, I've had it since I was a teenager.
You are not alone.
Yeah, okay, good. That makes me feel better, eh? See, that's that negative thought in my head, Like, oh, fuck, I'm old, eh? I bought it when I was, in my mid-teens. Yeah, no, it actually wasn't too long after I saw Pantera live that I bought this, and I wear it ever since. And I guess it's interesting how I've thought about it, this beanie and even the battle vest, so to speak, it helps to actually ground me because it's kind of the metal scene, that's kind of like my tribe and that's where I feel the most comfortable. But I always take it with me, and especially with the nature of the work that I do, working in mental health, there's a lot of high stress in that. So quite often, if I'm working with someone that's quite full on, I'll go out for a walk, put my Pantera beanie on, listen to some music, and I'm like, I'm connecting with, something that's, really good self-care. But I've had it since, 2000, I reckon. Yeah, 2000. Yeah, 2001. Yeah. Since quite a few years.
You saw Pantera live. How were they?
Oh, fuck, man, it was awesome. It was like the first metal band I saw live, eh? Oh, they were awesome. It was great, eh? Me and my friends, we watched the Pantera home videos, leading up to, Pantera coming to New Zealand. When we found out and we're lining up, we're going into the concert chanting Pantera, Pantera, and it was awesome, eh? It was really cool seeing them live, and I've got, it was really cool. There was one point in the concert, me and my friends were in the mosh pit and we were kind of on the right-hand side, closer to where Dimebag Darrell was playing. And there was one part of the concert, I'll never forget it, It's ingrained in my memory, Phil Anselmo, the vocalist, he randomly stops the show and he goes, the music that we do for you, the music that we make, does it help you with your everyday lives? And I called out, you guys are my psychiatrist. And Dimebag Darrell heard me and he looked over and he goes, yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, he just responded to me, eh? And later on in the concert, I was a young teenager, I had bum fluff on my hair and now I had a piece of shit goatee trying to be the man like Dimebag, and I randomly pulled it and he saw me and he pulled it at the same time. I'm like, oh yeah, so we connected. It was buzzy, eh? Fucking buzzy.
Did you decide to color it pink? Is that pink? I might be colorblind. Pink, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, no chance. Because I was living at home, and my parents at the time, they weren't really, they're very supportive of me into metal now, but at the time, there's no way you're going to dye your goatee, pink while you're living under a house, so I kind of had to, follow their rules and that, eh? But yeah, it was awesome. And it was really cool as well, because Corrosion of Conformity actually opened for Pantera. And it was funny because back then I wasn't a fan of Corrosion of Conformity. I was a fan, years later. But then looking at hindsight, I'm like, damn, it's a real bummer that I wasn't giving Corrosion of Conformity, the attention that I should have. But, I still saw them live and that. But yeah, Pantera, they were my first, metal band that I got into. And seeing them live was awesome. And Pantera, for me, that was kind of the gateway band that kind of opened up, different pathways for me to, explore different bands. Because of Pantera, I got into, doom metal, you know, black metal, you know, and death metal as well. Yeah, because Phil Anselmo, he's like huge into, you know, the black metal scene as well, and you know, he was a fan of like, you know, bands like Satyricon. So, you know, well, if it was good enough for him, I'm thinking, well, then it's good enough for me to, you know, delve into it. So that, yeah, it was a really good gateway band into, you know, different genres and that as well. Yeah.
And in most cases, every time I see Phil Anselmo wearing a T-shirt, like, I wonder what band is it?
Yeah.
And then like search on it. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you learn like.
I know. Yeah, Crowbar is one of the pictures I got there.
Yeah.
When I saw the Pantera video years ago, he was wearing a Crowbar T-shirt, and I was like, oh yeah, that could be interesting, eh? And then he released the second Down album after, you know, the Pantera tour for Reinventing the Steel, and I remember when we bought the CD, it had all the different subgroups that each member was in. It was like Corrosion of Conformity. I'm like, well, I've already seen them live, so I know all about them, so they're pretty cool. And then Crowbar, I Hate God, and so I was like, oh yeah, we'll go check them out. Listen, I'm like, whoa, fuck, these guys are actually pretty cool. So yeah, it really opened up that pathway. Yeah.
They went here, right? I Hate God.
Yeah, they played last year. Yeah. So Jimmy Bower was there. That was really cool. That was really cool seeing him. And it was real funny, it actually just clicked for me, like when I saw Jimmy Bower and I Hate God last year, I was like, holy shit, he actually was playing drums for Corrosion of Conformity when they came for Pantera. So yeah, I've pretty much seen, most members from I Hate God, Down. I just haven't seen Crowbar yet, so that's on my bucket list. So yeah.
We have YouTube.
Yeah. Not the same, eh? Not the same, eh?
You're not in that moment, like you can see them play.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Have you seen the Black Sabbath last show?
I've seen clips of that, eh? Yeah.
I think Ozzy's kind of like saying goodbye.
Yeah, that's right. I saw somewhere online that apparently that was his funeral. That was his funeral, because apparently, he's getting worse and worse with his health. But I've also heard that I don't know how true this is, so don't quote me, but apparently I heard that he had said that if he can't piss and shit on his own, then, you know, he wants to euthanize himself. So apparently he might be going to Switzerland to do that. But yeah. I've seen him live too, so I was like, yeah, now I can tick that off too.
Okay, there are a lot of things or a lot of bands I haven't seen. Even Pantera, like I was hoping I will see them, but obviously the two brothers are gone. So, I mean, when Dime died, like, oh shoot. I mean, there's no longer like no more Pantera. No, even if Vinny's still there, there's no Dime.
Yeah,
still
that's
not
right.
Still not Pantera. Like,
that's right. Yeah.
We're gonna play something inspired by Pantera, which is great, but still not Pantera.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but like, you know, you get the new wave of, you know, bogans getting into Pantera with, you know, Zakk Wylde, you know, being the guitarist and them doing tours now. But I guess I'm part of that group that's actually seen Dimebag and Vinny with, you know, Rex and Phil. So it's quite a privilege. I was a little gutted when Dimebag died as well, because it's like,
it's just like,
yeah.
It's gone.
And it was interesting because, like, when he did die, I was bummed out about it, because, like, you know, that was my first metal band, and, you know, I had that connection with Dimebag at the show. It was really hard hitting, eh? And when I was telling my parents about it, they're like, oh, well, now you know how we felt when John Lennon died. You know, that was kind of like their Dimebag to them as well. So it's like, oh, yeah, they got it, eh? So, yeah. But that was a good show. Fuck, I remember. I was really drunk, eh? But I remember it like, you know, it was yesterday, eh? Yeah.
I don't see, I'm now stereotyping. So I don't see tattoos on you. Does it mean not all bogans need to have a tattoo if they don't want to?
Oh, not that I know of. I actually do have a tattoo on my arm. I actually got one this year, eh? It's interesting. I guess tattoos have been, like, I've always been interested in them, and I love the artwork, but I don't know, I've always just been waiting for that right tattoo to come along, and I actually did get one. It's on my Facebook and Instagram page, but my cat died last year, and I had a really strong connection to her, and so I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to get a tattoo and I'm going to go for it. And because it was my first tattoo, I'm like, no, it's not going to be one of those small ones. It's going to be one massive motherfucker, eh? So, you know, I actually do have a tattoo and I plan on getting more. In fact, I'm meeting a guy in August to get a tattoo across there.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm fully, I guess I'm at a point in my life where I'm not listening to that advisor in my mind going, oh, you shouldn't do this and this and this. I'm like, nah, fuck it, I'm really going for it now. So any metal band, if I get an opportunity to see them, I'll see them, you know, getting tattoos, living life, I go for it. And that's, going back to the whole mental health thing, that's how I manage my anxiety now. Like, I get those voices, that advisor telling me, oh, this and that, and I'm like, nah, I just throw myself in a situation now and just, you know, whatever happens, happens. And that's how I'm approaching it.
What do you think
Have you got any tattoos?
No, I've been wanting to, but probably similar with your case, wherein I need to wait for like this is the right time.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I'm still trying to think. It's like because it's your body, so it has to be what you really want. But it's not like one day you decide like I no longer want it. Can you erase this one? It's kind of like rather than paying for someone to erase it, use that money to get another one.
Yeah, that's right. When I got this, because like for years I've been toying around with a few ideas of tattoos that I want to get, and when I got this on my arm, I was like, right, now I have given myself permission to get all the other tattoos that I want now. So it's I've got a fine list day. If I had it my way, I'd be booking myself into tattooists, you know, for the next, you know, few weeks getting tattoos, but you know, money and time and that as well. So yeah.
Which means my stereotype is now wrong. Basically, I'm already expecting that not all bogans have to have tattoos, right? It's not like because you're a bogan, you need to have like a tattoo, right?
Before I got this tattoo, I mean, I was still going to metal gigs and stuff, and I wasn't getting kicked out of like, you know, Valhalla or anything for not having a tattoo, So, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. If it's a rule, I didn't know. I'm sorry, I've got a tattoo now, so.
No, you're a rule. Fully pledged. No, it's not a rule, I think. Yeah, maybe just because reflecting back on because before I learned about that word bogan, reflecting back, I always assumed that bogans should have tattoos. But at the end of the day, again, Dave Mustaine doesn't have a tattoo. Even, I know he's not a bogan because he doesn't live here, but talking about like learning about metal and stuff, not all metalheads have tattoos anyway. Even
that's
like
right.
Dave Mustaine is the best example of that, right?
That's right.
He decided not to have a tattoo, which is his own decision, not anyone else's.
That's exactly right. And in my opinion, I feel like he's like one of the founding fathers of like, you know, thrash metal. Yeah, so, you know, if he hasn't got a tattoo, well, you know, so what?
So what? Still got fans.
Exactly. Yeah, and he's earning more money than me, so, you know,
Cultural values in terms of mental health. Do you think there's a kind of, we probably have touched it a little bit in terms of metal and mental health.
Yeah.
In terms of cultural values, do you see any like differences in cultural values of those who are going to you for counseling? I'm gonna put it this way: coming from different backgrounds, should I say? Like could be a Maori metalhead, or could be a Pakeha metalhead, or could be an Asian metalhead, or whoever. Do you think there are differences in terms of approach that you would take, given everyone has their own belief system?
Oh yeah, definitely. Look, I tell you what, because like you know, I am a therapist, but social work is my that's my background, and we're very when I did my social work training, we're very people centered. So I guess it's important for me to be client centered or person centered. So basically, what the person needs. So to answer your question, yes, definitely. Like when I'm working with like Pacifica or Māori clients, I am very conscious that I don't follow Western ways of doing things. Quite often, I'll spend time just getting to know one another and building rapport and connection, because that's a core value of Pacifica and Māori culture is connection, building relationships and that, and just talking through things to get to know one another. So I think that's, I guess that's part of my value as a social worker is, building connections. I don't know if I'm answering the question in the right way. And I guess like one thing I've learned in the field is that if you go, this is just my experiences, other therapists may differ in their opinion, but like I feel if you go too gung-ho with like, therapy and models of care, you've got to do X, Y, Z to get this outcome, it can be quite daunting for people. And, people just want to, have someone that's going to listen to them and validate them. I mean, the therapy stuff can come later, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, people just, want connection and to be able to relate to people, and that's what I try to do in therapy sessions.
And it's always like you don't just follow the rule. If you need to deviate, that's okay. Yeah. In terms of like, obviously you have your own process of dealing with different kind of people, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I guess it depends where people are at with their mental state as well. Currently where I'm working in the community, we're sort of like on the lower to mild sort of area in terms of mental health. But like, say for example, like if someone comes into a session and they're like highly psychotic and their mental state is, pretty, off the charts, then I'll kind of, go into like, models of care or, do comprehensive, assessments as well, just to kind of make sure, I see where they're at with their mental health and, refer them on to secondary mental health services when they can get like, really, acute support, for, what they're going through. So it really depends,
So how challenging is it for you being a metalhead, making sure that you might have someone who is very spiritual, and suddenly he sees like mayhem, for example. He sees a mayhem or maybe a black metal band,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
You're satanic, or
yeah. Look, I'm very mindful of that. So my work's pretty cool. They're pretty relaxed with me wearing my vest and that. But I am very conscious about wearing my t-shirts and my vest with certain clients. So say for example, like I'll have a metal t-shirt on underneath my clothing, and if I'm working with a client and they are into metal, then then I'm more open to like wearing my t-shirts, or if I see them in a follow-up session, then I'll wear my vest because it builds that connection. But like if I get a referral and it states that the person's very highly religious, or if they're an older person, then I definitely won't be wearing that as well, because then it's kind of like a conflict of interest, and I don't want my interests or values or whatever getting in the way of people getting what they need. So yeah, I'll work around people. Yeah. I don't force my metal head bogan, whatever. I don't force it on people. It's if the connection's there and the person's into metal, then then I'll fully embrace it.
What's the story with your vest? Like, you won't put anything there that you are not listening to, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And what's the story, for example, Megadeth? I was wearing my Megadeth t-shirt yesterday, but I should have worn it right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, how did you lay it out?
It's bands that I like. On the front, I have like my more favorite bands. On the back, I saw Hate open for Vader, and that was like a couple of years ago when I saw Vader, and like I went through a phase or a period in my life where I wasn't, really entrenching myself in the metal, but then Vader would come in, and I was listening to Vader back in the day, so I went along, and then Hate opened up, and when Hate played, I was like, holy shit, this has really invigorated my, desire to get into metal, and I guess like I've always wanted to make a battle vest, but the drive wasn't really there to do it. I guess what happened is like I bought a Hate t-shirt when they opened for Vader, and I love the t-shirt so much, but I accidentally shrunk it in the wash and I couldn't wear it, and I was really pissed off that I couldn't do it. Then when I started exploring, making battle vests and that, I'm like, fuck, this is an opportunity. I can upcycle, some of my shrunk t-shirts. Like the Morbid Angel one was a shrunk t-shirt as well, and it just sort of evolved. And I'm like, this is wearing a vest for me is like me embracing it and saying this is a tribe that I belong to. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I'm out in the world. I'm like, this is who I am, and I'm not compromising my interests for mainstream or what society's expectations are. But I don't know if I'm going in a roundabout sort of way. But yeah, they're all just bands I like, listen to, bands I've seen live, and that, yeah.
Have you been judged by other general public?
Yeah.
Because you're a bogan, or you're probably wearing a black shirt with Satan on it, or something like that? Do you remember anything, any scenario?
I'm very mindful of, where I wear certain t-shirts. Like with my parents, I mean, they've accepted that I listen to metal music and that.
You can't do anything about it.
But certain t-shirts I won't wear in front of them because, I come from a Christian background and I don't want to make them feel, out of sorts. So, I show respect. But no, I haven't actually, I haven't. And it's funny, because like quite often at work I'll wear my vest, and when I'm out in public going for a walk on my lunch breaks, and I actually get people coming up to me and approaching me like, oh, that's a really cool vest, where'd you get it? And I'm like, I made it. And then people ask me questions about it as well and that. So yeah, and it was actually really cool. When I went to Slipknot, I was wearing this vest and I was walking there, and his father, who wasn't, metalhead, he's like, oh, he's going to Slipknot, eh? Oh, and I'm like, oh, you want to wear it? And I got the girl to wear the vest as well. So, yeah. No, there's never been any negative connotations. I've had one person in the workplace and one of the jobs that I worked in, and they're like, oh, you're gonna, you better be careful where you wear your vest because, you're going to get smacked over. Someone's going to beat you up and stomp you out for it and that. And I'm like, well, actually, it's the opposite. People actually come up to me and commend me for the vest and want to know more about it. I've never had any negative connotations.
What's the heaviest music you've listened to so far?
Hate. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're from Poland, and they're kind of like a fusion of black and death metal. When I was at work, I had Hate on my desktop as a screensaver and that, but I was making a few of my workmates uncomfortable, so I took it off. I was like, oh, I gotta, don't want to make people uncomfortable. So yeah, I'm respectful, but yeah, Hate's probably the most heaviest.
Why do you think so?
I don't know, but it's the band that got me back into metal. Because when they played a couple of years ago, I was going through some challenges in my life with one of the jobs I was working, not the current job I'm in, but one of my jobs I was working in. There's a lot of stress I was going through in there, and that kind of helped me kind of channel that in a sort of positive way. And it was really quite cool seeing them live, because like I've seen black metal bands, but like never the full corpse paint in that, and they were wearing corpse paint, and the atmosphere, I was like, holy shit, Yeah. My wife doesn't like Hate because like she's classically trained, and so their drum beats are they're really fast and they're a bit off, and for her she just can't get her head over the awkward counts. But yeah, I guess with Hate, like they're unapologetically themselves and they don't give a fuck. I like that. Yeah.
You previously experienced, is that the lowest point you've got into?
Sorry?
Is that the lowest point you've got into?
It's one of them. It was job-related stress, so there was a lot of anxiety that was really heightened. That I'd probably say it was one of the lowest points. But what helped me get through that was the fact that I've been working in mental health for quite a while, so I've got strategies to work through that. Doing good self-care stuff. Good support networks and that. So that kind of helped me get through it. But listening to Hate. And, thinking about my client that said, they listen to metal because it's the validation of what they were going through. I guess Hate was also kind of like that for me, the validation that I'm really angry, I'm pissed off, I'm very hateful towards sort of certain people that have put me through certain bullshit, and it was okay for me to feel that. So that kind of, Hate gave me that permission to be like, it's okay to be angry at the world, because it's a normal emotion, so yeah.
Do you listen to other genre aside from metal?
Yep, definitely.
Example?
I listen to I listen to Bone Thugs and Harmony. It's funny, because like when I was like a teenager, I was only listening to metal, and that's the main music I listen to now. But I was like, if you don't listen to metal, you're not part of my clique. I don't want to know you. You're nothing in that. But one day years ago, I don't know what came over me, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a Bone Thugs and Harmony album just randomly and just whatever happens, eh? And I bought Thug World Order and I listened to it. I was like, holy shit, this is actually really quite good. So yeah, I listened to a bit of that, bit of the Eazy-E's. I love Eazy-E. NWA, a bit of the old school stuff. Yeah. And I actually listened to, in recent times, a bit of Elvis Presley as well, some of his later stuff. Yeah, just the epicness of his like stage shows and that. So I do dabble in a few other music. Yeah.
Do you think it has this different effect? Like, I'm just trying to see how it goes. let's say you listen, you're having a mental health challenges. Yeah. Do you think there are differences between listening to metal versus listening to rap or something else?
I guess so. Yeah, definitely. Because like I said, I mean, yeah, metal music's what I mainly listen to, but you know, there are times where I do need to listen to something that's not metal. You know, it's a kind of a bit more sort of soothing, and I guess, you know, Bone Thugs does that to a degree. Actually, you know, what I like about Bone Thugs is they're, you know, like hate in the sense that they're unapologetically themselves. But I guess, you know, delving into, you know, the Elvis Presley sort of music, I don't know, it just has a, you know, a feel-good sort of feeling to it. Not so much the early stuff, but more his later stuff when he had more of the, you know, deeper, you know, vocal ranges. Yeah, it just has more, you know, more harmonic sort of feel. So I don't know, and I like the cheesiness too. It was quite funny. It was quite funny because I remember when I a few years back when I was listening to Elvis Presley, you know, a bit more. My parents were like, "Oh, if you like Elvis Presley, then you should listen to Cliff Richard." And I'm like, I draw the line at Cliff Richard. I'm not gonna listen to Cliff Richard. No fucking way, ain't happening.
Being a bogan, how does that fit into the mental health sector or health sector?
How do you mean? How do you mean?
This is just personal, again, stereotyping, right?
Yeah.
First impression of bogans are like you're noisy, you're
right, okay,
you're annoying to your neighbors because I don't know, maybe
I see. Yeah, gotcha.
Maybe every day you fire up a firework somewhere in your backyard, and then for you being a bogan, you're working in a mental health sector.
Yeah, gotcha.
How does that fit into the whole mental health sector? Like you're a bogan and then you're working with the mental health sector. Probably that's similar to what I asked a while ago, like you're a bogan but you're giving advice, something like that.
Oh, right. Hey, like in my opinion, I feel that because I'm a bogan and I'm working in mental health and I'm working with people that are having a hard time, it's the validation that, you know, I'm just a normal person. Like, you know, I'm not, I guess it's good in the sense because like it makes me more approachable. When like a few of my clients, when they find out that I'm a bogan and I'm into metal and that, they're like, oh, you know, they don't feel like there's a power imbalance in terms of, you know, professional versus client. It sort of shifts it where, you know, we're working together because we're just, you know, regular people. It works to my advantage, in all honesty, you know, when I'm working with people. And being a metalhead and being a bogan, it just really emphasizes for me that it's important to be just normal and genuine and be ourselves with people. And that's what was sort of drilled into me when I was doing my social work degree and doing my final year and, you know, placement, you know, doing work experience, was that, you know, just be genuine, be yourself, be who you are, and, you know, people connect with that. Don't be fake. Don't be a fake, you know, white collar, like, how are you feeling? Because that's very patronizing to people. Yeah, it sort of encourages me just to be myself and be real with people. And, you know, I don't want to gloat or anything, but like, I've had good successes with clients, you know, in terms of like being willing to engage with me for the fact that they see that I'm genuine, I am who I am, I'm not fake. And I remember one of the jobs I was working with, there was one client in particular, really complex, like, gave me a run for my money, eh? But one day they actually said to me, you know, like, you know, you're the best social worker case manager we've ever had. And I'm like, what, really? Can you like put that in, you know, a frame? So next time you tell me to fuck off, I can be like, well, you said this. But I said to them, why do you say that, you know? And they're like, oh, because, you know, you just get it. You know, you're down to earth and you know, you're on the level with people. And, you know, I guess that's what being a bogan is, being down to earth and being, you know, on the level, being who you want to be. You know, you're not being fake or anything.
I've met a few bogans by now, but and I'm gonna be biased because their music is my music, so basically I'm going to like kind of like lift the bogan community a little bit. But
yeah,
I don't know, maybe people are just being nice because they're on camera, but basically it's off camera when I'm talking to them, it's kind of like just a normal conversation. I haven't experienced any like rudeness or maybe someone is trying to be annoying. I don't know, maybe just personal experience. My stereotype definition of a bogan is no longer like, oh, I'm wrong in all aspects of assumptions. I shouldn't be assuming that, oh, because you look like that or this one looks like that. they are like rude or they don't care about you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't been to Australia. They said the bogans in Australia are kind of different breed. I don't know. I haven't met anyone from there, but in most cases, every time you go to Valhalla, you see bogans in there.
Yeah.
They're kind of like super nice.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
Personally,
That's right.
why do you think mainstream media has a negative, or probably generally the general public has a negative connotation or negative like connotation about bogans and impression, should I say?
I really don't know why. I can't answer that, but and it's interesting because like I know I'm being biased, but I'm also basing this on my life experiences. Like, you know, the metal scene that I've been part of in New Zealand since, you know, the Pantera days to now, you know, the people that I've met are the most nicest people that I've ever, you know, engaged with, you know. And it's interesting because, like, when I was a teenager, I was into metal, going to gigs and all that stuff. But then I kind of was like, oh, geez, you know, am I doing something wrong? So I tried to get into the mainstream where I was like starting to go to clubs and that and get amongst those sort of people. But those sort of people in the mainstream clubs and all that, they were the backstabbers and the judgmental type, where in the metal community, not so much. It's quite the opposite. Yeah.
You will still encounter some, but it's not like so rampant with other communities, right? I don't know. I'm just my impression.
I think, you know, just unfortunate events or situations within the metal community that could have put a black eye on it for the mainstream or mainstream public. I mean, I guess, you know, you could look at the church burnings, you know, in Norway with Mayhem. I guess the mainstream would be like, oh shit, you know, if they're burning down churches, maybe all bogans are like that. I'm not like that. I don't go burning down churches, you know. And it also gets me thinking of back to, you know, the first AC/DC concert that was played in Wellington before the Cake Tin. It was with the old rugby stadium in Newtown, and I was too young to go to that concert, but my brother, he almost got beaten up by mongrel mob there, eh? But there was a bit of I think back then there was a bit of a backlash towards like the metal community because like, you know, a riot had broken out. From what I was told, a riot broke out, and you know there's a lot of crime that happened in Newtown and stuff, and there's a lot of you know bad things that kind of happened. So I think, you know, events like that kind of put a bit of a black eye on it. But you know, I think it's just that perception of what people see from the outside, but not really seeing it from the inside.
Most bogans that I've spoken to, they don't care what people think about them.
Yeah.
I'm just in a position wherein, what can we do? Probably if I'm asking a different bogan, they will say, nothing, just do nothing, I don't care. Yeah? In your opinion, being in a mental health sector, what do you think we can do so at least people like younger generations would trust someone wearing a vest doing a counseling? If I go there and assuming you have full-blown tattoos, you look untrusting. I'm not gonna trust you with my story.
What, to make people more receptive to like the metal culture and bogans? No, I reckon encourage people to come to gigs and just give it a go and see the people that are there and because like if you come to, you know, gigs and that, people are really friendly. Like, you know, whenever I go to Valhalla and that, you know, usually I'll go on my own because, like, you know, the wife, she's into metal, but not to the extremes that I am. Whenever I go, though, like, people are friendly, people strike conversations and that, and very approachable. I'm like, I try really hard at work to get one of my, the psychologist into metal. I'm trying, but she's not getting it, but I'm really encouraging them to, you know, come to gigs and that.
What do you think are the myths about bogans?
What are the myths? We're not bad people. We're approachable. We don't go beating people up. We don't all go lighting fires. I mean, you know, in the government sector, when I've worked with people in the extreme side of mental health, I've worked with people that aren't metalheads but do really crazy, fucked up shit. We don't all do bad things. Everyone does bad things. I just think sometimes, you know, bogans kind of get targeted a bit for that. We're not all alcoholics. We're not all drug takers. Yeah, I mean, shit, you know, when I was, you know, going clubbing back in the day, you know, people that were doing drugs and drinking and, you know, passing out and throwing up in their own, you know, and lining their own vomit in the gutter. You know, that shit happens everywhere, you know.
Regardless if you're a bogan or not.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
What's the most bogan thing that you've done in your life? If there's this one, I know there are different events in your life, but if there's one.
What's your point of view of, like, you know, a bogan thing to do?
Crazy thing.
A crazy thing.
Yeah. Maybe you did a shoey. I mean, it's a story from Hamish, but he did a shoey.
Oh, yeah. I saw that, eh? Was doing a runner on a taxi a bogan thing?
It depends. Tell me that story.
Yeah. Maybe I won't tell that story just because, in case my work colleagues see in there, I might lose face.
That's okay.
One bogan thing I did do was, it was when Backyard Burial were playing at a gig at Underground Arts a few years ago. Years and years ago before I became a social worker and that. And I got so drunk that night, eh? I'm actually so surprised. It's really weird how people say to me that they don't remember their drunken escapades, eh? I remember all my drunkenness, eh? Even when I was passing out and coming out and stuff, eh? But I remember one time, eh, I was so drunk at that gig, eh? And I jumped up on stage with Backyard Burial and I was headbanging and that. I don't think they appreciated me being up there, eh? But yeah, I jumped on stage and I just, you know, went for it and stuff, eh? So yeah, any past Backyard Burial members watching this, I'm so sorry for doing that, eh?
Good thing you didn't get kicked out.
No. But my friends were like, oh yeah, you're getting me more into it, eh? And one of my friends, because like, I was looking after his bag. I don't know why I was looking after his bag, but I was looking after his bag and he saw me on stage and afterwards he goes, man, I was really worried about my bag. And I'm like, oh fine, you don't give a shit about me being drunk and, you know, going crazy. That's probably the most bogan thing that I've done. Yeah.
If there's something that a bogan or a metalhead could have as a takeaway from this episode, and then there's one takeaway, what would that be?
Yeah, we all struggle, you know, having negative thoughts, having self-doubt, having anxiety, it's normal, and you're not alone. And, you know, you can get through it. It's normal to feel like shit, you know. I feel like shit quite often. I have negative thoughts quite often. I always have a lot of self-doubt that I'm not good enough in that, and it's normal, you know, it's normal. We all get them, but, you know, if you're engaged in, you know, mental health support and counselling, you can learn ways to, you know, manage that and, you know, take some of that power back. But, you know, and us metalheads and bogans, we're normal people. We're just very passionate about, you know, it's interesting, I'm like into that music, the 6 Feet Unders, Deicides, whatever, you know, but I'm passionate about life.
Yeah, I'm not saying that everyone should hurt themselves. I'm just saying we're passionate about this so we can experience catharsis and then coming back to life, that life is not bad after all. Because someone just sang a song wherein the lyrics is made up of eat your guts or I don't know, I throw you to the pit or something like that, you know. I'm just making up lyrics, by the way.
That's right. And the thing is, another takeaway is like, you know, if there's something that you really want to do in life, go for it. You've got nothing to lose, everything to gain. You haven't got anything to lose to start with anyway, but if something you want to do, you go for it, you know. Go for it. You only have one life, so yeah, go for it.
I feel like if there's something or someone is having a challenge in their mental health, and I feel like it's because they're gonna get judged because they've done what, you know, go for it, and then no, I'm scared. Why? Because people might judge me and people might not like what I've done, and I've noticed in most cases for most bogans that I've met, they just don't care what other people would say. I want to do it, I'll do it. As long as I'm not hurting anyone, like physically you know, as long as I'm kind of like satisfying my happiness that I've done it, it didn't work, so what's next? Okay, let's try this. It didn't work, let's try this. It didn't work, maybe that one.
Yeah, that's right. And also, look, you know, it's okay to ask for help, you know, we don't, I mean, from my experiences when I've gone to metal shows or just being a bogan in general, like I've always put on this facade like, oh yeah, I'm the man, no worries. But then you've got this internal stuff going on. And, you know, if life's getting a bit too much for you, you know, you're allowed to ask for help, you know. There are people like me that are in the field that's willing to help. We want to help. You're not a burden to us. So, you know, reach out if you need support. There is support out there for you.
Can we go back to the time you said you are also in counseling? You are also asking for support for counseling.
Yeah.
How did you take that? Like, what's the point? What's the turning point? Like, you've decided I need help.
Oh yeah. Because like working in mental health, it is mentally draining. It does take a lot out of you. And there are times like as a registered social worker under the Social Workers Registration Board, we're mandated to attend supervisions. That basically means we see a supervisor and they just sort of support us, making sure that we're okay. We're managing ourselves, helping us with ethical issues and that and practice and stuff. But I remember one time when I was working in one of my jobs, I was experiencing high levels of stress. Like I had some really complex clients and I was just not getting anywhere and I felt really shit that I wasn't progressing. And, I was, having sleepless nights, having dreams about my clients. It was really having an impact on me and my supervisor like, you should, you might want to go to counselling just to talk about it with someone. And I was kind of like, well, I'm fucked up because of this work stress that I'm going through. What have I got to lose? So I went to counselling and they really helped me learn some skills to kind of, just work through it. And, also just normalise that what I was going through was normal and that just because I'm a social worker doesn't mean that I have the ability, that I'm vulnerable too. And like, I can't solve all the problems in the world. And it was actually quite good to hear that, like, doesn't matter how much I do, I can't help everyone. So it was actually really good just to get that validation. But yeah, I was at a point where I was like, well, fuck, what have I got to lose, it might be useful. So yeah.
What's your favorite song, if there's one song?
This
is a hard question.
That is tough, eh?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Pantera is my favourite just for the fact that it was a gateway band for me. I just need to check the name of the album because there's just so many. Hold up. There's a couple that are my favourite at the moment. Okay, so the album from Hate that's one of my favourites is Auric Gates of Veles. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's a real killer album. Fucking love it. And I'm also listening to a lot of Crowbar at the moment. And my favourite album of Crowbar is, Equilibrium from Crowbar is one of my top favourites. And they do a really cool cover of the song Dreamweaver. Have you heard of the song Dreamweaver?
To be honest, I haven't heard anything from Crowbar.
Oh, it's a great album, Equilibrium. There's that song, I think it's in Wayne's where it goes, oh, Dreamweaver.
Right.
Crowbar do a cover of that and it's a fucking killer. But yeah, Crowbar, Equilibrium is one of my favourite albums at the moment.
Okay. What is heavy metal for you?
What is heavy metal? It's a fuck yeah, and it's embracing being yourself and not being apologetic for being yourself.
What is a bogan?
What is a bogan? That's a tough one to answer, right?
If you are asked a question which is like a basic question, like who you are, sometimes, or in most cases, it's one of the most difficult thing to answer. Like, this is why I'm...
What answers have you gotten? Have people been able to answer that right off the fly?
Yeah.
A bogan to me is, someone that listens to metal, but I guess more so for me, it's about someone that is unapologetically themselves in the scene. Yeah. I guess that's my interpretation of it.
No right or wrong answer, by the way. So.
Oh, thank God. See, my anxiety's kicking off now. Oh, you fucked up. You're going to get the wrong.
It's who you are, and it's how you see the world. So how can someone say you're wrong? You know what I mean? Like,
that's right.
Any final message before we wrap up?
It's okay to ask for help. Doesn't matter who you are, what you're going through. You don't have to take on, mental health challenges by yourself. If you need help, ask for help. There are people like me that are in mental health. We do this job. We support people because we want to help people, and we want to help people to achieve good outcomes and find purpose in life. So if you're having a hard time, ask for help. There's no shame in it. You've got a metalhead/bogan right here that experiences anxiety and has mental health challenges, and I ask for help. So if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for you. So don't be afraid. Take a leap of faith. You've got nothing to lose, everything to gain.
Right. Thank you. Is there any? How can they find you if they prefer you to seek help too?
Yeah.
Is that the right term? If they prefer you. if they want to ask for help, but they prefer you. Obviously, they need to be in Wellington, right?
Yeah. So the organisation that I work with, unfortunately I can't say on camera where I work because I've been told by my managers and that. But if you add my link, my Facebook link or Instagram link to this video and that, and if people want to message me, just message me and I'll put you in the right direction.
Or they can message me and I'll link them to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. But like, if anyone's having like, serious mental health challenges where they really need to talk to someone, contact T Hiker, contact the crisis team. That's what they're paid to do. They're paid to support. So if you urgently need help, contact the crisis team.
Do you have a specific number, or I can put that in the description?
If you could,
let me know. So at least it's like a helpline, or I don't know.
Yeah. In fact, what I could do is I could just I could give you a list of some numbers that people can contact.
Then I can just put it in the description, so at least they can ask for
easy
help.
as. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time.
No worries. Hey, thank you for the opportunity.
Oh no, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Then we do that.
Yeah.
Okay.